A very good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I am Gaurav Tripathi and I am Sergeant at Arms for today's session. I welcome you all to the 82nd Toastmasters session of Radisys SoundBytes Club. In our Toastmaster sessions, we follow some ground rules. Like rule number 1 is please put yourself on mute when you are not actively speaking. Rule number 2, please be mindful while talking about sex, religion, and politics. And rule number 3, please turn on your video to support the active speakers and make this session more lively. Now I have a question for everyone. Does anyone know what is the motto of Toastmasters? Any guesses? Okay, let me explain that. So the motto is a statement which is chosen to define the ideology or belief of an institution. And for Toastmasters, it is where leaders are made. We might have seen it in their logo, right? So this is a motto. And in line with that, every club has a mission. And mission of our club is to provide mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop their communication and leadership skill, which in turn foster self-confidence and the personal growth. Now moving on to today's theme, which is Dennis the Menace. I think all of us know about this character. It's a classic cartoon character. It's about a 5-year-old kid who is with troublesome but very charming personality. He tries to help others, but always mess something, right? We might have seen it in his comics or the cartoon series. And I believe our today's session is going to be like that. Now, to officially start our today's meeting, I would like to call someone who I can relate with, the Alice Mitchell, who is a president of local bridge club in the cartoon series. And she is a figure in that series who can, like, who is a point of contact for Dennis if the things are too overwhelming for him. So she always balances things out and calms things down. In the same fashion, our club president, she is very approachable and very helpful. If you are in middle of any problem or in any difficulty, you can reach out to her and you will definitely get some interesting solutions. So please put your hands together to welcome Club President Toastmaster Chitra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gaurav. I really forgot about this character and I was wondering whom you are comparing me to. Thanks for that. Hello, Mr. Wilson. Remember this greeting? Dennis, the beloved comic character, every time he would approach his neighbor, would come out crying, hello, Mr. Wilson. And then Mr. Wilson would just roll his eye up and be prepared for the next mischief. Now, before I get carried away about Dennis the Menace, let me welcome all of you, fellow Toastmasters and guests, to the 82nd session of SoundBytes Toastmaster Club meeting. Now, we as a club meet every second and fourth Wednesday. We help each other improve our speaking, listening, organizational, and leadership skills. But like someone wise once said, never underestimate the importance of having fun. That's what we have all gathered here for, isn't it? And I'm sure this session promises to be a lot of fun. The theme speaks for itself. I remember as a child, well, actually, even now, I love reading the Dennis the Menace comic strip that comes in the newspaper every now and then. And then I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but there was this black and white series of Dennis the Menace that used to come on Sony, which was dubbed in Hindi. So every evening at 5:30, it used to come. So our school used to end at 4 o'clock and we would just throw the bags and start watching that. Even though it was so weird that a black and white English American series was dubbed in Hindi, we would still watch it. Because Dennis is like an impulsive, like a sweet faced little devil. And he keeps getting in, he's extremely exasperating and his next door neighbor is annoyed, Mr. Grumpy, Mr. Wilson, right? I think all of us, the child in us relates to this, at least most naughty of us, right? So to take us forward with this session, let me first start the session officially. So take us forward with the session. We have somebody with us who is a passionate Toastmaster and is always ready to take up any role given to her. Her passions also involve arts and crafts. She's interested in classical dance. She's a trained Kuchipudi dancer and likes to spend her time reading books. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Harshita. She's a TMOD for today.
Yeah, sorry, Chaitra. I'm taking the prepared speech only.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. I think fun has been started.
Exactly. Okay, what did I read? Who is the TMOD then?
Adarsh.
Okay. Looks like a prank I played on myself. Okay, Adarsh, the same things apply to him. He is passionate about arts and crafts and is a trained Kuchipudi dancer. Please welcome Toastmaster Adarsh.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chitra. Life is a series of misunderstandings, said Dennis. But we don't remember that, right? I can assure you that this session is going to be nothing like what you expect. So this quote was actually by a different Dennis. So this Dennis was Dennis Diderot, who was a philosopher. I'm sure you guys wanted to hear about Dennis the Menace, the comic character. So you know what Dennis Diderot knows about the mischiefs and the misunderstandings in life. So that's how this session somehow turned into Dennis the Menace, the comic character. And I think others are more prepared on this topic than me. So I will just go with Denis Diderot, who was a French philosopher. Now we will see if it really lives up to the expectations. So he was born in the 18th century in a small French town. So, and he went on to study to become a priest. He didn't like it. Then he decided he wanted to be a writer. Then his father, like all fathers do, disowned him. It was the kind of thing you do at that time. So what happened was he continued on and he became actually a philosopher, a writer, an art critic, a poet, many things. And what he's most known for is for actually compiling the encyclopedia. Now, I'm not talking about Dennis Menace, so you have to lower your expectations maybe a little bit. Now, the best of his work actually came up and was recognized much after his time. Now, that's what happens with most people who are like geniuses, and he was certainly one of them. And he also happened to be one of the most influential philosophers of the Enlightenment era. Now, what that basically means is that the villains in his story were actually the church and the kings. So for you guys who just to give you pick a couple of quotes on him, which you can also say was his motto. So first thing he said was, something that is not yet has been questioned is not yet proven. So that's how he lived his life. The second one was, skepticism is the first step towards truth. So these were the mottos by which he actually, you can get some idea about what he was as a person. So that's kind of a brief introduction about Diderot, the French philosopher, whose first name is, I must once again say, is Denis. So with that, what I would like to say is, I will get to the agenda of today. So today we have one prepared speech, and we also have the table topics, and then which will be followed by the evaluation. So today's chief evaluator, the chief Toastmaster is Toastmaster Nitya. So I would like to now welcome Toastmaster Nitya to introduce to us the evaluation part of the session.
Thanks, Adarsh. So, good afternoon, Toastmasters. So today we will, even I have not watched the cartoon characters that's mentioned here, but I could connect with you. So let's take the session in the same tone. So we would be having our team, which would be watching all our mischiefs that happens in the our session. So I would like to request our tag team, Timer Bhargavi, to share her role today.
Hey, hi, good afternoon, everyone. My role as a timer is to time each of the speakers today and note down their time and report it at the end of the meeting. So I have some virtual background that I'm going to use to do the same. So we have one prepared speech today, which is L1 P2S1. So the timing for that is 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, my background is going to change to green, like how you see it now. And at 6 minutes, it's going to be yellow. And at 7, that it will be red, after which the speaker can wind up the speech within 30 seconds. And for evaluation, the time is between 2 to 3 minutes. At 2, the green background will show up. At 2.5 minutes, yellow, and at 3 minutes, red background will show up. Again, there'll be a leeway of 30 seconds after that. For table topics, the timing is 1 to 2 minutes. At 1, a green background. At 1.5, yellow, and at 2 minutes, a red background will show up. So please ping the timer when you're speaking so that you can maintain your time. I'll report the timings at the end of the meeting when called upon. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhargavi. So the next role player, our counter Sudhindra. I would request Sudhindra to explain his role today.
Good afternoon, Toastmasters. Today I'm playing the role of an R counter. As an R counter, the role of an R counter is to note the words and sounds that are used as a crutch or a pass filler by anyone who speaks. I will make a note of anyone who is using the words like ums or ers, or including or repeating words like this means, I mean, or you know, I know, kind of repeating words, filler words. And at the end of the session, I'll submit my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Sudhindra. I would like to request grammarian Vikash to explain his role.
Yeah, thank you, Bhargavi. So the grammarian role is basically to introduce the word of the day and encourage to the speaker and evaluator and table topics to use this word. And a part of this, I will also check that any misuse or any misuse of English character if it is being used by anyone. And so let me share you the word of the day. Let me share you my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, so the today's word of the day is elucidate. It is a verb, and the meaning of this is to make something clear, explain. The similar word could be explain, clarify, and illuminate. Opposite word could be confuse and obscure. How we can use it in a sentence? The example is, she would not elucidate further. The exact detail of the process have not yet been elucidated. So this is how we can elucidate this word, elucidate itself. So that is the bird, and I urge to all of you to use it in your speech. And after that, I will give my report. And over to you, Hargavi.
Nitya, you're talking on mute.
So thanks, Chitra. So thank Vikas. So I'm Nitya Vikas. So Bhargavi is taking
Oh, sorry.
a timer role today. That's fine. Yeah. So today we have one prepared speech, which is the L1 P2 S1 speech. So evaluator Sharath would be evaluating Harshita's speech today. I would request Sharath to provide his roles for today's evaluation.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. So my role today as an evaluator is to evaluate the speech of Harshita, who will be delivering the L1P2 S1 speech today. And I'll read out the major purpose of L1P2 S1. The purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive the feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. And the purpose of the speech is for the member to present a speech on any topic and receive feedback from the evaluator. So I'll be evaluating Harshita's speech today. That's my role. Thank you. Over to you, Nitya.
Thanks, Sharath. So, so over to you, Adarsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nitya, for illustrating about the evaluation procedure. Now, before we move on, so this was the 18th century, right? So they had this tradition at that time, and probably still followed in few places. So they had something called as a king's cake. So basically, this king's cake is like a regular cake, but it also has a piece of a baby in it. Means there's a baby miniature one inside the cake. Okay. Now you are wondering why. So the idea was like any kind of event, they would cut this cake, and the person whoever gets this piece with the baby in it would actually be the king for the day. So obviously, if you're king for the day, you can tell what people whatever they want. So this is something that happened with Diderot. So the first time this happened, so as I said, he was somebody who campaigned for free thinking and free speech, like freedom was his motto. So what he did on the first time was he said people can do whatever they want. And since he was the king for the day, this was with his group of friends with whom he was celebrating this. So that's what happened. Now this happened one more time, even the next year as well, when they were celebrating the same event. So he again got the piece of baby in his cake. So again, he said, you know, I as a king, I don't really believe in all this monarchy. People should do whatever they want. You should be free. Everybody should enjoy. That is my wish. So that's how they celebrated the next one also. So this happened next year also. That he was so lucky that the third time also he got this cake. But this time he was prepared. No, this is not an actual baby, just to be clear. It's a miniature piece of a toy. So this is more of a tradition where, you know, we put our hands in a bowl and we try to fish for something. It's something like that. So this is what happened the third time. So and he was prepared. So what he did was he prepared for it. Now, before I tell you what he prepared, we can move on to our prepared speech. Now, today's prepared speaker curiously has the same interests as me, which is arts and crafts, and she likes classical dance like Kuchipudi. I'm really into it as well. And finally, she also loves reading books, which seems a little strange to me. So with this, I would like to call upon stage today's speaker, Harshita. Harshita, peace versus war, Harshita.
Yeah. Thank you, Adarsh. Good morning, everyone. Gautam Buddha said that
Harshita, your video has paused and you're not audible.
who contributed in the world, contributed for the world peace. First is Mahatma Gandhi. According to Mahatma Gandhi, only the insistence of truth can resolve the conflict and bring in the world peace. To him, peace can exist only in the environment where there is no hatred, cowardness, and anger. In such an environment, peace can develop and prevail constantly. The Gandhi's fight for peace started from Satyagraha with truth and nonviolence as his weapons. So, according to him, he thought that a person with a truthful mind cannot come with a violent manner in his thoughts or deeds. On peace will come only with forgiveness and compromise. Indian government, recognizing the Gandhiji's contribution towards peace, it honored him with by launching the Indian Peace Prize in 1995 on 125th birth anniversary of Gandhi. Next is Nelson Mandela, who is very much familiar with his humility, forgiveness, and compassion. Nelson Mandela wants to make up a world which is prosperous, inclusive, and fairy world. The decade of 2019 to 2028 is called as a decade of Nelson Mandela peace. In 2019, all the leaders of the world has united in United Nations headquarters at New York. There they decided they again reaffirmed their integrity towards sovereignty of the states and the tertiary integrity of the nations and political independence. Thereby, this also contributes in the complete eradication of nuclear weapons and bring in the peace. Next is Mother Teresa. Teresa is an abode of peace. For Teresa, the service and love towards the poor are the ways to establish the peace. And she is recognized as a voice of peace because her work contributed in the eradication of poor, which is a deadly weapon for violence. During the Teresa's childhood only, during her 8 years old, she lost her father, and now it is her mother's turn to look after the family. Despite of their financial conditions, her mother used to serve the needy to dine in their home. And her mother also adopted 6 orphans along with her children. Seeing her mother's deeds since the childhood, Mother Teresa made up her mind to serve the poor and needy. With the same methodology, she became as a nun and traveled from Albania to India to serve the poor. Though she brought up seeing Albanian wars since her childhood, she made up her mind towards peace. And it is elucidate that the way how parents bring up their children also contributes towards making the young minds towards peace. Now I want to ask you a small question. Do you think that India is a peaceful and happy country? Oh, you think that it is a peaceful and happy, right? But no, India is not a peaceful and happy country comparing to all countries, other countries. The peaceness of a country, the peace in a country is measured in Global Peace Index of a country, GPA. But the India is at 156th position of among 166 nations in Global Peace Index, and 154 position in 158 nations in Global Happiness Index. Therefore, it is very strongly we can say that every individual must make up their mind to establish peace in the society, and therefore happiness comes in. Now, before going to war consequences, I want to share a small story about Emperor Ashoka. The Emperor Ashoka, after the ending of Kalinga War, after seeing the bloodsheds and cut body parts and many dead soldiers in the battlefield, he realized that many lives were lost and many families got distracted. So he started, he joined Buddhism for peace, and he attended and spread it as well. Coming to war consequences, in Mahabharata itself, when Pandavas completed their exile for 13 years, Yudhishthira wanted to make peace and requested Krishna to be their envoy of peace to Kauravas. When Krishna requested only for 5 villages for Pandavas, but the Kauravas rejected this peace offer because of greed of attaining the complete kingdom. If Kauravas rules the kingdom, what happens? The unrighteousness and that is adharma rules the future generations. So there will be no peace in the world. So war became inevitable. Many of the warriors of the same family lost their life in the war. Next is first Indian War of Independence. Initially, the Dutch, Portugal, and British arrived India for trade and commerce itself. But later on, after seeing the natural resources of India like fertile soil, favorable climatic conditions, availability of water, labor, etc., they tried to acquire India in a violent manner. So after realizing that we are occupied, we start to fight for our independence. Many peace treaties were started, but they are failed to establish. Finally, it is the time to start the war, and people like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Bhagat Singh happened to fight in a violent way. But in the second war of Indian independence, it is the Gandhian era started, and truth and non-violence are his weapons. He started civil disobedience movement, which is a non-violent way of boycotting the foreign goods. And next is Quit India movement, which is based on Satyagraha, a right request towards the British to quit and abandon India. Finally, under his rule, under his leadership, India attained independence. And the recent Ukraine and Russia war also, they failed to resolve the conflicts and bring up a solution. Finally, as Ukraine came out of sovereign union, and America offered it to join to NATO. If Ukraine joins in NATO, all the Western European countries and America would help it. Before only Russia wants to avoid that and started the war. Just it failed to resolve the conflict and make a solution. These are the consequences led to war. Instead of this, we can make peace and stop the people who are dying in the war. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Toastmaster Harshita. That was a very passionate, illustrating speech on a hot topic right now. So with that, before we move on to the next segment, so we left off at the third time where Diderot actually was hoping to get the baby in his cake, and he did. So this time he went into his coat pocket and pulled out, like any man of literature would, and started reading the poem. And now that he was the king, then others had no choice but to read his poem. But just to give you, the sense of what this guy was like again, this is the quote. So he said in his poem, played the entrails of a priest for the want of rope to strangle kings. So what that basically means, that if he wanted a rope, then he would cut open a priest, take out his intestines, and strangle the king with it. So this was the kind of fierceness in his philosophy that he had. Now, that's what he showed. So this went on to be even included in one of his later works. In fact, that poem was called The Lover of Freedom. So this is how Diderot was, just to give you some idea. So at this point, if you can imagine, he was actually broke. Now, the Empress of Russia, Catherine the Great, she took interest in his work, the encyclopedia, which was burgeoning. So she actually took him as an advisor, and he also visited Russia at this time. So Diderot was so vibrant and so boisterous in his philosophy that he was always, when he would go into this passionate monologues, and he would keep slapping the thighs and grabbing the thighs and of the Empress, to an extent that the Empress said, in fact, she made sure that there was a table between the Empress and the advisor, so that she didn't have to suffer his passionate philosophy. So this was the kind of character he was. I am sure this is not something that we can imagine with the current head of state of Russia or anything like it. So this is how he was. So moving on. So speaking of being vibrant and energetic and being Empress, so now I would like to call upon stage the Empress of SoundBytes, Toastmaster Chitra, to take this moving forward for the table topic segment of today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adarsh. While you threw a curveball with the theme of the day, I plan to stick to it. Okay. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you're able to see the screen. I'm sure Dennis Diderot did not look like this, but okay. So volunteers, please. Who would like to go first? Anyone, or should I pick? Okay, Gaurav. Okay, Sharath, you have unmuted.
Yeah, I can try. I'm
So
actually
any
in
number?
the office. I hope others won't see think what this guy is doing. He's a menace. Okay. So let me go for 4.
Okay. So this is your topic. When I grow up, I want to be a little boy. I mean, you're already grown up, so.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. So thank you for the opportunity. My topic is, when I grow up, I want to be a little boy. And Chitra has very rightfully said, I think it's time I need to color my beard also. It's so out in the open that I've grown up so much, I guess. I need to work on that. But that kept aside, I want to actually enjoy life like how it was when I was a little boy. I feel as grown up, we have started taking things too much, too seriously. And, the statement which you have heard, grow up, I feel is such an overrated statement. Sometimes we need to take things lightly and take a seat back, relax, enjoy. Like when we were when I was a little boy, how I used to enjoy chocolates, ice creams without wondering about what it will do to my weight or diabetes or anything like that. So I need to go back to that stage and try to enjoy life how I was when I was a little boy. And these days, I feel mobiles and other technologies have become a lot of distractions rather than support. Whereas when we were little, we used to enjoy the nature more, used to observe more, maybe enjoy the sound of the birds. These days, hardly you hear any. So I want to go back to that stage and enjoy things like how I was when I was little. Yeah. that's about it. Thank you. Over to you, Chitra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sharath. I think this is something that all of us share. When we were kids, we wanted to grow up really fast, and when we are adults, now we want to become kids again. Okay, I think I stopped sharing by mistake. Just give me a moment. Okay, who wants to go next in the meanwhile?
I can go next.
Okay, choose a number.
Number 1.
Okay. So you are an art critic. Please praise or make this painting, criticize or discuss this painting or drawing for us.
Okay, means I have to imagine I'm an art critic, right?
Yeah, you're
And
an
I have to
art
describe
critic.
about this. Okay.
Yes, like how critics would do.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tabletop Master, for making me an art critic. By seeing this picture, I can correlate how I used to sketch in my childhood days. For me, like, it's a very good artistic collection, I can say, because I used to draw an apple and I used to put a brown color on that. Once I got a half mark for that also. So in that view, it's a very good sketch what this person has built. And I believe I can't read it, what is written there, but it seems like there is a ocean and there are waves there, and some guy is trying to like, he wants to enjoy swimming in the ocean by using only his one hand. I think the other hand is in the pocket, or maybe he's saving some what can I say, very costly watch there. So he's, and basically it seems he's trying to impress some of his friends by his unique talent by swimming only using one hand. And I want to appreciate the person who has clicked this image. I imagine this is an image which has been taken and the person is trying to just paint it. So the timing of this picture is very perfect. It's like since he is going to use only one hand, right? So it should be visible, and the waves also should be visible. So that timing is very perfect. And basically, I like the hairstyle because whenever you go to the swim, right, you will not have these kind of hairs, but somehow his gel is very sticky and his hair are very hard there. So I think we can ask that guy how he is managing it and what is the brand. So yeah, these are the things which I can interpret from here. But yeah, it's a cool design, and I think that guy who has built it, he might have got only 30 seconds to build it. Like I have got just 2 minutes to explain about it. So I feel that that guy has done a very good job. Thank you.
Great job, Gaurav. I think, yeah, given the quality of the drawing, we have done an excellent job in describing the artwork. Who wants to go next? Toastmaster Vikash, do you want to give it a go?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Do you want to pick a number?
6.
So if you could hang out with any cartoon character, who would you choose and why?
Okay. If I will get a chance to hang out with any character, then I will choose the Pooh Bear, because it is my favorite cartoon, and it is my daughter's favorite cartoon also. And me and my daughter both make its sketch, and we have created 2 or 3 sketch of this cartoon. So basically, I love to hang out with this Pooh Bear, and I want to take out some honey from the honey hives with him, because he is a very carefree person. He doesn't care about too much about anything, and he eats honey and he became happy. And I also like honey, and like the Pooh Bear. Every day me and my daughter both eat honey like the uh, Pooh Bear used to do. So the Pooh Bear is a I think it will be the best cartoon whom I can correlate myself, and I can enjoy the time with him. And the other friend of Pooh Bear like Tiger and rabbit, I can also enjoy with him. I can go to the rabbit garden to get the carrot from him. We can jump like the trigger. So definitely I will go like to be the Pooh, and that's all.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Vikas. Really, a very like Winnie the Pooh and the whole gang. Who wants to go next? Sudhindra, do you want to go next?
Yes, Chitra, I would like to go next.
Okay.
Yes.
Which number do you want to pick?
Which all are gone?
I think 1, 2, 6 are gone.
1, 2, 6 are gone. 4 is also gone, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
3. 3, 3.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah,
good.
okay. So imagine you were a child and you have to explain this situation to your parents and minimize the after effect. So what would you do?
Good afternoon, Toastmasters. What would be your basic instinct when you're caught red-handed like this? I would prefer it was not me. Okay, let me build a story. If my mom would ask, why did you do this? I would tell her that, no, it was not me. It was that menace who had come. Dennis, the menace who had come here, who tore all of the toilet paper and he climbed up on the stool. He pulled it off all around the bathroom and look at me. He even threw my favorite toy inside that toilet. He was really a big menace to control. I tried to call you 100 times. Where were you? You did not even turn up to stop him. Look at this, what he has done to my favorite dolphin. It is no more, it's not white anymore. And in my favorite goggle, he took it from me and gave it to that dolphin. And look at this shampoo. It was already empty. No one spoiled it. It was already empty, mom. Next time, whenever Dennis comes, I will tell him. I will first call you and then I will show you that it is indeed him who did it. It was not me at all, mom. Do you think I will do such a thing? See, I'm such a short boy. I can't even reach the basin up there. And these are all my favorite toys. I will not tore them at all. And see the height at which that toilet paper is hanging. I'm too small to hang it there. It was not me at all. It was just that Dennis the Menace who did it. And you were not there around to stop him. But yeah, but now you are here. Can you let me help you to clean this up? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sudhindra. I think that was an excellent way to get around it. And with that voice, I'm sure no mother can scold their child. Okay, who wants to go next? Can we have one last participant? Okay. Okay, then I think we will wind up because most of the speakers have already spoken. So back to you, Toastmaster Adarsh, to discuss about the other Dennis.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chitra, for a fun-filled, carefree, and quite a varied table topic session. Now, before we move to the next segment, so like I said, Diderot lived in the 18th century, and it was common at these times to put young girls in convents forcefully by their parents. So what happened around this time was one of his friends, he started getting letters from a girl who was supposed to be a nun in a convent, and she obviously did not like this oppression on her freedom, and she wanted to escape from there. And she was requesting his help, and there was a bit of romantic angle to it, but there was a lot of back and forth letters being exchanged. So later on in his life, Diderot went on to write a book that was called The Nun. So in this, he critiques many aspects of the current time society. So now I would like to tell you that, this was actually based on because he felt so sympathetic towards his friend, and this experience had a very deep effect on him. That's why it made him write this book. But actually what happened was, he actually wrote this book, letters, and sent it to his friend as a prank. So he totally pranked his friend by being an impostor as a nun, just to see his friend's reaction, and also at the same time to get his thoughts out in the open. So this was how Diderot kind of worked around the constraints of the society that he was living in. So that was Diderot also being a prankster. So what he said in this book at the end was also very interesting in a sense of how do you go about lying to someone, right? Because here was a guy who was lying to his friend about a nun who doesn't exist. So he said he couldn't make it too beautiful because then it wouldn't be believable. At the same time, he couldn't make it too true, right? Because that wouldn't be fascinating. So this was how he kind of summarized, when you're trying to lie to someone, which is not very different from creating art at the same time. So he believed like this was the balance that one had to strike if he was actually trying to capture the interest of the audience that he was writing to. Now, talking about balance, let me now call upon the general evaluator for the day, Toastmaster Nitya, to take us through the evaluation section. So over to you, Toastmaster Nitya.
Thanks, Toastmaster Adarsh. Start with probably I'd start from the very beginning of the session. So we have started more or less on time, probably a minute late for the session. Right. So essay has started the today's topic in a great enthusiasm, right? So he even related the same for Chitra's or the president's introduction. So that was really good. So one observation that I have, or probably I was not prepared so much, or probably I'm trying to prepare. I'm not sure I missed it, but I see that the rules of the session seems like missing. Probably that I've not observed or not. That's not sure, but I feel that's not captured. So that's one comment that I have. Otherwise, the note. The session was started as very good with a great enthusiasm, and the topic is started there. So that was really good, Gaurav. And apart from that, I always appreciate your you go to people and make the session happen. So that's like that's really good. So I think you're continuing to do that. Congrats or thanks for that. Next, the president started the session. So yeah, this gavel thing probably that we are missing. Let's see that soon in a face-to-face session sometime. Yes, Chitra, though it was I mean, I mean, you just missed it somehow, but still that was fun, and we all really enjoyed it. So yeah, good. So next, the Toastmaster. Always I see his topic is, I at least feel I tough to or most of the things that I don't know, whatever he comes up with. So today also, I mean, it's a same, but I can relate to, or the way you took the session was very good. Probably to start from the very first, the way you introduce the philosopher that you are or introduced to the session, or the way you started with it was really good. And there are so many his quotations that you have used in today's session. Uh, uh, and more in some places I have seen you try to use a modulation there, but not in all the quotation. That should be fine. That probably you can work upon. I would suggest, I mean, TM Modi, where you are probably in your speech time, you can try to stand up and do. That's probably one suggestion, because you're covering most of the speech. I mean, your speech, yours itself is a speech, so probably that helps you there. That's one. It's all just minor things. And you have segregated your topic in a very nice way between the sections, right? So the structure is very good, and you made us stay with your point, even when you're concluding Harshita's speech. There also you have not concluded her speech. Rather, you put forward your this philosopher discussions, and then you have concluded her speech with the Russia-Ukraine war you tried to brought up. So that was also nice. So that I see, that's probably a good approach to conclude her speech in your topic itself. So that's good. Overall, there is no further comments. We really enjoyed your topic. I was trying to see that who's this D Derot, right? I think I'm pronouncing right. So you really give a good insight about him, and also you gave many points to the Toastmaster, especially the point that you have last said, like you should not bring any topic, too beautifully so that it's not believable. I mean, that was very related to the Toastmasters or their speech itself. So good topic and a very detailed, you have captured it. So moving on to the speaker, Harshita. I think I'll go this way. I'll take an evaluation, then I'll call a tag team so that they would cover my ahs, ums, and other grammatical mistakes too. So Sharath, I would like to call upon Sharath to provide feedback or evaluation for Harshita. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Nitya. And congratulations, Harshita, on your completion of L1, B2, S1. And very nice and relevant topic you have chosen as well, peace versus war, especially with the current Ukraine-Russia situation, whether India's situation with China, Pakistan, etc. It's pretty relevant and good topic. And I would like to say that there are some pointers I have noted here. It's good that you stood up and you delivered your speech. That way we could see you better. Your hand gestures were visible. And your topic was well structured. How you took us through a journey from Gandhi to Mandela to Teresa. You introduced some stories and then you spoke about Russia war. That's a nice smooth flow. And good that you also went into the topic pretty quickly without losing too much of precious time. You just greeted and kind of almost went into the topic. That's good. And there was a good crowd interaction as well. Good that you brought in that element where you are asking that question and getting response from the audience. And you have included variety in your speech by including a story also. That was good. What I felt you could work on was one is enunciation. certain words, there was some issue with the way it was pronounced. So maybe you can work on the enunciation, and time management. You can work a bit more better. I felt it went longer than what's anticipated. And your gestures, you could work a bit more on variety when it comes to body language. Mostly the gestures felt a bit repetitive, and maybe you could have introduced some sort of role play, because you introduced a story also. You had a good opportunity to maybe do some sort of role play where you're playing one role and then saying another person's perspective, etc. So that would have got a bit more interesting. So what you could challenge yourself is, you could also challenge on vocabulary. You could try to bring in more variety of different words. And vocal variety, I feel, is something that you could work on. It felt kind of a bit flat. You could try to, enunciate more. You could try to introduce some dramatic pauses, or you could work on your volume levels when you're certain gasp or wonder, etc. That would have been interesting. Other than that, overall excellent speech, and I've seen how your confidence level has improved, because I've seen from the beginning how when you used to participate, and now when I see a lot of confidence in you because of this repeated participation. Congratulations for that as well. These are my observations. So thank you. Well done, Harshita, once again, and over to you, Nitya. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharath, for the detailed evaluation. Yeah, Sharath covered most of the points. I have probably the few points that I would like to communicate with Harshita. So you're beginning like a few seconds that we have lost because of your connectivity issue, or at least I couldn't hear you. But by the way you started with the personalities introduction is what I see that's how you started. I would suggest, or probably a strike in your very first few minutes, right? Like you have questioned us in the middle between war and peace and war, right? You have questioned us in the middle that India is a peaceful or a happy country. That you could have striked in the very beginning. That probably created why she is talking about it, or so something like that, right? And you have few statistics like what is the global peace index, what is happening. So these are all you can mend in the record. So you have structured it this way, like peace, and then you have some query and story, then war. Conclusion, you took Ukraine and Russia. That's how I see it. But rather you could have mixed up things, because the personalities that you have took to for a conversation, most of us have some basic idea about it. So you could have struck the very few points about them, that Gandhi, what he changed, and everyone what they done and what is their success in peaceful, rather than explaining their like details about it, right? You have done a gist about it. I'm just saying so that you can mend things and provide as a package to us. So I would see the structure you can change to encourage the audience. It was in for some time, especially when you talk about the peace part, right? I see it is not engaging the audience. So that's my observation. Otherwise, you have I mean, this body language also, mostly I see you were not moving around, or probably the content is that way. Probably that's something that you may have to see that and work on. Otherwise, not much comments from my side. Thanks, Harshita. Thanks for a good speech. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to our the impromptu session, where I really struggle to put my stand, but I see people are really coming too innovative. So I would appreciate Chitra for you kept this theme and you it's a different thought that you brought, I think, so far in the Toastmasters, this art critique, or I mean, you kept to this topic, the childish behavior or the childness. So that's very good. So moving on to the very first speaker, Sharath, you have reminded us with how we never carry. The one thing that I probably like, you never care about your weight. Probably that's probably one good thing. And you took us to a chocolate, ice cream, all that you reminded us. So good speech. Thank you. And art critic, as I said, is something that's new to at least our table topic forum, and it's very well executed, this art critic, right? Gaurav, I was wondering how one can talk about this picture, the way he started, like in every childhood we could have done that. You draw something and you want to color something that you want. Even my daughter does that now. I couldn't change her. Apple in a brown color. Yes, as a child you accept that, right? So that's good. And the way hair gel that you and his posture on the swimming, it's all really nice, and we really loved the speech, the way that you carried it, right? That's good. So next is a cartoon character. Yes, all this that mostly that we are relating to ourselves and our kids too, right? So that also, like one cartoon character that Vikash talked about. Even though I'm a mom of 2 kids, even I don't know this spoof where probably I should work on it. So, but still I can relate how he is enjoying indulging with our daughter. So that was good. That's portrayed well too. Yes, after effect of the story that Sudhindra built, Sudhindra took few seconds, or I didn't capture the time, but he took some time. But the time you took, you have narrated a very great story, and this we can relate to our kids, especially my daughter now. She does the same thing. So it was a good story that and the way that you elucidated is also really good. Grammarian mark a note. I mean, make a note. I think I'm using it rightly. Okay, so overall the session was the TTM was really good. One observation that I have, even I try to do it, I mean, apply for myself too. We are all starting with the topic as such. I mean, one thing probably Sudhindra tried to, portray that as a speech, or give to us as a speech. Probably others can work on that because it's a very small time, or the time probably not sufficient, but we can try to work upon that. That's one observation that I have. Right. I would like to move on to the tag team. So I would like to call upon timer Bhargavi to share the timing report for today's session.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nitya. So we started the session at 1:31. I mean, almost at the right time. So that was one thing. So our speaker today, Harshita, took 8 minutes 25 seconds for her speech. Evaluator, Toastmaster Sharath, took 3 minutes 8 seconds. The table topic speakers, Sharath took 1 minute 33 seconds. Gaurav took 2 minutes 16 seconds. Vikash took 1 minute 35 seconds. Sudhindra took 1 minute 44 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhargavi. So moving on to the next role player, our counter, Sudhindra, to share his report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nitya. Well, I started with being an R counter. I thought it would be very difficult. So yes, it is indeed difficult. I could not give you exact count of how many other arms. What I try to do is try to give an IPL strike rate kind of statistics, but it doesn't matter how long you play. It's your strike rate matters, right, in IPL. So starting with my source, excluding my source, I'll start with the speaker of the day, Harshita. Harshita was going beyond 30 plus hours in her overall speech. Whenever she had a pause and whenever she wanted to move to the next topic, there was an hour in her 7-minute speech. her crutch word was but, and yeah, that's what I could notice. These are something which are noticeable. Otherwise, like it's with a captivating topic being spoken, it's very difficult to notice these ahs and ums. I'm trying to count on only things that are noticeable. Moving on to, okay, wait. Okay, moving on to with respect to strike rate, Adarsh in his overall 10 plus minutes of speak, including a table topic and his TMOD speech, it was, of course, 60 plus, I should say. Yeah, there were a lot of hours and so's. I could see others using so many times. At least only 2 or 3 times, but so and are your crutch words. Others maybe you can look on. Then comes table topic speakers, starting with Chitra. I'll the entire 3 plus 2 plus 3 6 7 minutes of speaking. Again, Chitra's also strike rate is very good. She's around 30 plus in us. Yeah, and I could not find any crutch words for Chitra today. Then comes Sharat again, starting with your evaluation plus the table topics. You also cost 10 plus us, and your crutch word was so. I saw you using so a couple of times. Then Gaurav, again, Gaurav takes pauses. He doesn't use crutch words much. He takes pauses, and in his overall 5 plus minutes of speaking, he used only 5 to 10 ers and ums and a couple of so's. Moving on to Vikash. Vikash in his 2 minutes table topics speak and some earlier introduction of his grammarian role explanation overall altogether 3 minutes plus. He's also used at least 20 to 30 plus ers, and his crutch words were he had used many crutch words. It's like so, basically, and I believe these are something which you can keep a watch on, Akash. Okay, and Nitya, of course, Nitya is again, she played along, like gave a good, complete general evaluator role at the beginning and at the end. In overall, again, she scored around 60 plus hours in her overall speech. Yeah, but yeah, there were only us. I did not find any crutch words. But yeah, did I miss anyone? Yep, that elucidates my role of the day today. Thank you.
Thanks, Sudhendra. So overall, it was a great session. And as a general evaluator, even I find a lot of improvement for myself. I would suggest you to share the improvement or feedback for all of us, all the role players, including me, in the link that's provided. So I would call upon Gaurav or over to you, Gaurav, to move on to a voting section. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I will forcefully take it back this time. Okay, pardon me, but did we have the grammarian's evaluation or did I just doze off?
Yeah, even I was thinking the same.
Sorry. Very sorry. Yeah, I think
Forcefully
Sudhendra.
giving it back to you now.
Thanks, Adarsh. Thanks for reminding. Yeah. So grammarian Vikash, could you please share today's session report?
Yeah, sure. So the bird of the day has been used by Nitya one time, Sudhendra one time, and Harsita one time. And a part of this, I didn't found very much grammatical mistake. The few things which I found that the good morning has been said instead of good afternoon. And our Mother Teresa, yeah, these things I found. Our Mother Teresa has been said, it could be the Mother Teresa. So this thing only I have found. It was means the few mistakes was very means those were very minor. So I didn't means those were not very much means I didn't noticeable. So that is the that is the grammatical report, grammarian reports. That's all. Thank you to Nitya.
So thanks, Vikash, for the report. So now I'm just doing ping pong. Yes, Gaurav, thank you. So over to you, Gaurav, for the voting session.
I think others want to continue again.
Okay. I feel very unwanted, but I would like to now, before closing, so you'll have to bear with me a little more. So for me, before we go to the voting, what personally I like the best about Diderot was, despite the circumstances that he was born in and the environment around him, it would have been very easy for someone who had been put in jail and he was punished for his free thinking and speech. But he never became bitter throughout his life. You could see he was, whatever I've narrated in many other stories, that he was always joyful. He always found a way to disguise his contempt for the establishment in, by writing stories which were humorous rather than directly going against where he couldn't. So it was, I think, something that he resorted to wit and humor where he could have easily been bitter. So that is another aspect I would say he stood out amongst many of the other philosophers. Now, being somebody who was not a believer, he also had to explain life, and he chose to explain life with natural causes. He said, life itself was a miracle. And he thought that we as humans, we are simply, walking along between two sides of eternity. And that's how we find ourselves. And he felt that life was something to be celebrated. So this is how his philosophy was. He was as a person, probably across many dimensions that I have shared. So with this, I will bring a close to this monologue about the wrong Dennis. And I would now like to request for voting for this session. With that is, I believe, shared already by Gaurav in the chat. So if you can all take a moment to complete the voting. And also please provide feedback for the speakers today. And also let me know if you wanted me to talk about the other Dennis.
Yes, please.
So since we are waiting, and I had something still to say, which I will not get a chance to say it again, I'm sure. So there was an essay that was written by Diderot. So what happened was, like I said, he was broke. And somebody gifted him, I believe it was the Empress of Russia, but I'm not sure. So somebody gifted him this red robe, a really expensive, really nice robe. So what happened was, everything in his house, he already had gotten used to it. It's the things that, the ordinary stuff or not so fancy stuff. Now, with the appearance of this one nice thing, then he started becoming a little resentful about all the other things he owned. So he had to start buying things which would actually go along with all the other things in the house. So there's an essay which he wrote where he writes in quite a humorous way about, what happens when something like somebody who has good taste but not the good fortune, what happens to such a person. Now, what is the relevance? Maybe not much, but the relevance is a little later on, there was an academic who named this effect, which Diderot observed, as the Diderot's effect. So this is basically comes into marketing and how people do purchases. So if you see, generally you don't go and purchase a vase. you purchase the stool and the furniture and the couch and everything around it. So the market is designed such that, people don't just, it becomes a part of our identity, what we own. That is what we tend to do. And this is what he's trying to address and discuss in this essay, which is quite interesting. So this is called the Diderot's effect, if you are interested in such a thing. So with that, I don't have anything else anyway prepared. So I hope the votings are in. Gaurav, do we have them?
Yeah, I have shared the results with Chitra.
All right. So with this, I would like to call upon Rakesh. No, I will call you Chitra to take over the stage and do the final formalities.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adarsh. Yeah, so before we get to the winners of the various roles today, we have a few announcements to make. I'm sure most of you are already aware of it. So today's Toastmaster Bhargavi's last session with us. So she is moving on to another company, another career. So I would like, on behalf of entire Toastmasters Club, I would like to thank you so much, Bhargavi. You have been, from the beginning of this second phase of our SoundBytes Club, you've been a very active member. You've literally carried sessions on your shoulders, and the club as well. A lot of this, I mean, if we call it a success, credit goes to you. Thank you so much. I'm sure all of the members also would agree with me. So before I pass on the stage to Bhargavi for a few words, I would also like to announce, so Toastmaster Gaurav would be playing the role of VP Ed for the rest of this term, which will end in June. Of course, after that, we will have elections. And Toastmaster Harshita would be taking up the role of SAA from Toastmaster Gaurav. So I would like to wish all the new the exec committee members all the best. And thank you, Toastmaster Bhargavi, for everything that you've done for the club. Would you like to speak a few words?
Okay, thanks, Chitra. Yeah, like just Chitra said, this would be my last session, and I'm gonna miss being in SoundBytes. I think SoundBytes is something which has helped me a lot. At least I could at least overcome whatever stage fear I had to an extent, and at least I have that confidence today to stand in front of an audience and speak for a certain number of minutes, right? So thanks to this stage called Toastmasters, which has helped us, I think most of us here, right, to basically express what we want to speak. Generally, who would really clap and acknowledge the fact that you're speaking about something and give feedback. This is something that has really helped me, which I'll take forward for sure. I mean, whatever future company I'm joining, I'm sure I'll join Toastmasters there, and probably we'll have a linkers meet. And also it was a very nice platform to get in touch with so many of you, since we're all coming from different teams, different projects, business units, right? So it was a very good thing where we could actually talk to each other, exchange ideas, and get to see so many good speakers in our Toastmasters. Right? We already have so many of you here today in this session, and of course so many others who are not present today. I'm definitely going to miss all that, and I've learned a lot from each one of you here. Thank you so much for making this go on. We had that small lull phase in between, but I think in spite of that, we've carried on with the usual business, which is a very good thing. I think we do that, and sure I'll attend many more sessions in SoundBytes going forward too as a guest. Thank you so much Chitra, Adarsh, Sudhindra, Gaurav, especially these last few months, I think you've done a tremendous thing. I think it's your energy that actually carried us, forward, because you were, so, always following up with people to take up roles. We used to probably would cancel those sessions if not for you, but you really, took that forward. Thank you so much. And our new members, Vikash, Harshita, Sharath, Rakesh, all of you, you have so much of energy and enthusiasm. You show that you attend every session. I'm sure it will really help you and also the club. Right. So thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Toastmasters.
I'll miss you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone here will miss you as well. Just give me a minute. Gaurav, I'm not able to open any PDF on my laptop. It keeps saying out of memory. Can
Okay.
you?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah, is it visible?
The best role player goes to Toastmaster Adarsh. Best table topic to Sudhindra. Best speaker goes to Harshita. The best evaluator goes to Toastmaster Sharath. Congratulations to all the winners and all the participants. Thank you so much for attending the session and making it very lively and interesting. Hope to see you in the next session as well. And please call your friends and invite more members to the club. More and more people participating will make the meetings more interesting. With that, I'd like to bring the session to a close. Thank you, everyone.